I had a full day, started off with, I was going to go to the official weigh-ins, but decided against it because I just wanted to sleep in, honestly. I think the jet lag started to hit me and I was getting really tired. Um, and so I was like, no, I'm not going to go to the officials, but I did go to where they were, which was UFC HQ, which is in the same complex as the PI and the Apex. So I had a tour of UFC HQ and that was so, so cool. I think the building, it's big because they've literally got this whole plot of land with three massive buildings on it. It's big, but it also feels quite intimate in a way. Um, so you've got the HQ building, which is where all the office spaces are. They've got a store there. They've got like where a cafeteria area and like a garden area, and then they've got the PI next door, which is what you see on Embedded a lot. That has, two octagons, a gym, saunas, uh, grounds for like mats for grappling and stuff, and then the Apex. I didn't go to the Apex, but yeah, I got to see HQ and the PI, which was really cool. I think the UFC do such a good job there. Like, if I was a UFC athlete, I would definitely want to be near where one of the performance institutes were, whether that be Shanghai or Mexico. You're seeing them pop up a lot more around the world now, even though the Mexican one just burned down. But that Vegas one, it's such a cool space. I really do think that they look after their athletes in a way there, which is really, really nice to see. And it's free and open to any UFC athlete, which is really, really cool. Um, did I see anyone training? I saw Aljo there, and they were filming some stuff there as well. Um, so I didn't see anyone, I think, on the card training that I remember. But I did actually see Forrest Griffin while I was doing my tour of HQ, which was really, really cool. I was telling him about how I have just been doing content and I'm very honest in that I'm a new fan, only started watching in 2019, and was basically telling him about how I watch old fights, and one that I often get recommended was the Griffin Bonnar fight. So yeah, he was just very, very sweet, showing me his little office and we were looking at his trinkets and stuff. It was really, really nice. Didn't really feel like a moment where I'd ask for a photo because it was just me, Brandon, who was taking me around, and then like him in his office. It didn't feel like, oh, can I get a photo like while you're in your office? It just didn't feel right. There are certain moments where I look back on the week and I'm like, oh, I could have gotten a photo there, but it's nice to have those memories to myself as well. Like, I know what happened, and um, yeah, sometimes like I captured so many moments during the week. So it's nice to also have those memories just to myself. And now I'm talking about it, I'll be able to look back and remember, like, oh yeah, I did meet Forrest Griffin in his office, which was really, really cool. Yeah, I went into the UFC store, which they have at their HQ, which I believe is pretty cool because they have it at like cost price. Like, they don't upcharge, I think. I didn't get anything. I was thinking about getting this little like teddy bear lion thing because it reminded me of Ted, my dog, but didn't get that. It wasn't a trip where I was going to be really lavish with my spending money, so I was like, no, let's be sensible here. Um, yeah, and then I went straight from HQ to UFC X. So I only went to UFC X on the Friday, and I met so many lovely people there. I met quite a few of you guys who watch on YouTube, which I feel like if you're a YouTube subscriber of mine, you're like a proper, proper follower, which I really love and appreciate. Um, I the convention is just so, so much fun. I've said it once and I'll say it again, that the UFC do such a good job in connecting fans to the athletes and the promotion and all of these experiences. So you did have to pay for convention tickets, but honestly, there's just so much stuff there. It is so, so worth it. Yes, you have to choose, I'd say maybe three athletes that you're willing to take the time and line up for, because those meet and greet lines can be really, really long. But overall, there's Q&As, there's autograph signings, there's interactive things, like they had the barber shop happening. I'm pretty sure you could play like UFC 5 with some of the guys. and like Topps cards unboxings with Nina and Dana. There was just so much stuff on. And then as well, I was able to sit in Media Row where there were a lot of fighters doing their interviews and stuff, which was really cool to see. I got my photo with Michelle Waterson Gomez and Minty Betts, our little Spider-Man pic, which was really fun. We'd been talking about that for a few weeks actually, so I'm really, really glad that we actually got to make that happen. And then, so morning at UFC HQ, afternoon at UFC X, and then I had the ceremonial weigh-ins. So I went straight from UFC X to the ceremonials, which it was starting to I was like starting to fade a bit at that day. I remember I was like, oh God, I'm tired now. Jet lag, but overall just they were long days. So ceremonials, which was fun. I think I just had a kind of standard UFC VIP experience on location ticket for that. But I ended up moving a few rows forward into the media credential section, which you're not supposed to do, but I'm pretty sure if anyone saw me there, I would have been fine, but don't do that. And then after the ceremonial weigh-ins, Power Slap was on. So I figured I was in Vegas. It's International Fight Week. It was something different. I've never been to a Power Slap event before. I knew that some people would give me shit to be like, oh my God, industry plant, look, now she's going to promote Power Slap. Look, I didn't. I posted that I went, but I didn't promote anything. I just wanted to see, because you often hear people say you can't talk shit about Power Slap until you go to a live event. And I was like, okay, well, let's give it a go, right? Honestly, my transparent review of it was that the environment is really fun. I was in the standing section where there's a lot of influencers and fighters. It's a very social scene. They had an open bar and food. And yeah, you're just surrounded by really cool people, which is fun. But it's a very different crowd to the UFC and MMA crowd, because I was sat at the start, I was stood behind these influencers, and Tom Aspinall walked past, and I was like, holy shit, like I don't get starstruck that often. But when Tom Aspinall walked past, it caught me so off guard. I wasn't expecting it. And I was like, oh my God. And then I looked at the guy next to me and he was like, oh my God. And we were like, oh my God. And then the guys in front of us, like these influencers, were like, oh, I think he's a fighter. Yeah, he's a fighter. Like, you can always tell when you look at their ears, if they have cauliflower ear, it means they're a fighter. And I was like, ugh, ick, yuck. So yeah, completely different crowd to the UFC and MMA crowd, because yeah, you've got people like like blatantly just filming themselves, filming the experience, which is really, really cool. I think that's like, Power Slap's obviously a very social media driven sport. So it makes sense that all of those influencers were there doing their content. But yeah, in that kind of social area, I met Patty, I met Yusuf Zalal, I met Marab. So I ended up just having a really fun night. And it's always going to be fun when there's like free food, free drinks. You're surrounded by really cool people. And then the slaps themselves, I will say, when you watch them, it's, I think someone described it as being the perfect combination of like crazy and like admirable and amazing, but also really stupid, because it's like you're standing there waiting to get this full impact. I don't think it's got, like, my opinion is that I don't think it's going to be one that I will continue to follow in terms of who's champ and rankings and things like that. But definitely, if you're ever in an area where they are doing a Power Slap event and you can afford to get into that standing area, I actually don't know if that area is available for purchase. I don't know. But that, to me, is where you should be, because as a female on my own, I had a great time there. And you also, just going to those things though, you do need to be quite open to, you know, meeting strangers and you being the one to approach people. Because if you don't, then you'll probably have a really kind of boring and awkward time. Like, you need to be the open person in that situation. Otherwise, I think, yeah, Power Slap's a really fun time.